Storytelling is one of the most effective parenting tools, not just to make the baby sleep, entertain, but also a moral tutor. Should parents always decide what the children should do? Is such an attitude desirable? With such questions in background, I am here with an interesting chapter from the Vistas of class 12th, which brings to fore the complex nature of human relationship and the clash between the parental authority and the children's desire. Welcome to my channel, Rendezvous with Reena. John Updike was born in 1932, was a prolific American author, poet, and a literary critic. His works reflect deep understanding of the American middle class and often revolves around the mundaneness of everyday life. Should Visit It Mommy is set in an average middle class household and was published in late 1950s. This was the time when existing gender roles were being questioned, and the discomfort it caused is reflected in Jack's relationship with Joe and Clara. The story raises a few unusual questions, which develop the major theme in the story. Now let us have a quick look at the main characters of the story. We have Jack and his family, which consists of Jack being the father of two little kids, Joe and Bobby, his wife Clara, who is 6 months pregnant with her third child. Then we also have the characters in Jack's story, that is Roger Skunk, the owl, the wizard, Mommy Skunk, other small animals who are friends of Roger Skunk. Jack, the protagonist of the story, would tell his daughter Jo a story every day at bedtime and on Saturday afternoons to get her to sleep. This custom had begun when she was 2 and now she is 4 years old. Each new story was a slight variation of the basic tale. The stories used were created instantly in his head and would always follow a similar plot. Now let us have a look at the basic tale told by Jack to his daughter Joanna. There would be a small creature named Roger. It could be Roger Fish, Roger Squirrel, Roger Chipmunk, who would have a problem. In order to solve his problem, he would go to the wise old owl. The wise old owl would direct him to go to the wizard. The wizard would perform a magic spell that will solve his problem and demand payment in pennies greater than the number that Roger creature had. The wizard would direct the animal to a place where extra pennies could be found, and Roger would be elated and play various games with other creatures. He would go back home to his mom just in time to hear the train whistle that brought his daddy home from Boston. And Jack then goes on to describe the supper, and the story would be over. Jack had begun to find these storytelling sessions tiring, especially on Saturday, because Joe never fell asleep anymore. This Saturday, Joe desires for a tale to be of Roger Skunk, and Jack assumes that Joe must have learned about Roger Skunk at nursery school. So, Jack begins the story by telling that Roger Skunk smelled so bad that other animals made fun of him and refused to play with him. Jack drew on his own childhood memories to detail how the other made fun of Roger Skunk. He believed that his daughter should be aware of the realities of the world and was pleased to see that these details had the impact he desired. Joe is upset with Roger Skunk's problem, but familiar with the basic tale and starts giving directive to the tale. Joe interrupted the narration several times. Once she asked if magic was real, and Jack assured her that it was real in stories, acknowledging mentally that Joe was in a new phase of questioning. We also see Joe asking several questions during the course of the story narration, like, what is a crick? Why does the wizard not have a cleaning lady? Will wizard die? What are pickup sticks? And what is eventually? So these questions, children, reflect the alertness and the presence of mind and the involvement of Joe in the story, contrary to the purpose of narrating the story, which is to make her sleep. Jack then continued with the usual storyline. Roger Skunk, after visiting the owl, goes to the wizard. Jack over here gives his own favorite effects of imitating the wizard by scrunching up his face and whining through his eyes. Roger Skunk explains to the wizard that all the animals run away, and the wizard casts a magic spell of roses fragrance. After having changed the smell, wizard demands pennies. Roger Skunk does not have the required amount of pennies, so wizard directs Roger Skunk to a place in the forest, and after paying him, Roger Skunk is happy and all the animals play with him. Jack wanted to hurry up and go downstairs as his pregnant wife Clara was shifting furniture. Though he had reached the end of the story, Jack noticed that Joe's attention had started to wander. He didn't like it when women would not listen attentively to him and decided to change the ending of the story. He told Joe how when Roger Skunk reached home, Mommy was unhappy as he smelled of roses. So why was Roger Skunk's mummy unhappy? Because Roger Skunk did not smell the way skunk should be. She wanted the wizard to change the smell, so she took Roger Skunk to the wizard, hitting him with the umbrella, demanded the old smell back, and the wizard changed the smell of the roses and gave the old smell back. But the shift in the story troubled Joe because she remembered how the other animals treated the smelly skunk. Joe was displeased and wanted the wizard to hit the mommy skunk on the head and refused to change the smell. Joe also senses a flaw in the story. If Roger Skunk smells like the skunk again, then the other animals will run away and will not play with him. However, Jack ignored her and ended the story as he wanted and tells the skunk family had dinner together at night. Roger Skunk's mom hugged him, telling him that he smelled just like a skunk should, and she loved him, and the other animals eventually accepted Roger Skunk just as he was. Unhappy with the ending, Joe called Mommy Skunk stupid, but Jack defended the Mommy Skunk almost as if he was defending his own mother. But Joe then asked Jack to tell her the same story the next day, but with the ending she wanted. She insisted on this till Jack left the room. When Jack finally went downstairs, his wife was painting a chair. As he stood there, Jack felt caught in the ugly middle position. Though he realized that his wife was in the cage with him too, but he just wanted to stay away from her. So children, we see that the ugly middle position reflects the unsettling gender roles and the perspectives. It showcases Jack's male chauvinist attitude, and it also is representative of the patriarchal cultural climate. Major theme that develops in the story as posted by the title is the conflict between the child and the adult perspective. Joanna reacts strongly to the fact that the animal in the story is ostracized by his friends for being different. The child's reaction is that it is better to fit in than to be seen as different. And that is why Joanna had a strong negative reaction to the mommy skunk, who makes Wizard change Roger Skunk's smell back. In Joe's opinion, parents should help make the child's life more pleasant rather than make it difficult. And that is why she wanted an ending where Wizard hits the mommy skunk back and refuses to change the smell. For the children, we also see Joe is too young to understand why Roger Skunk should compromise his happiness for his mother. The concepts of duty, morals are terms that children understand later in life. And children understand only the basic emotions of happiness and sadness, and which, sadly enough, is not comprehended by Jack's lens of parental perspective. Jack, as a parent, wants his daughter to agree with his perspective, forgetting that she's just 4 years old and not an adult. Jack wanted to teach a lesson that every person has innate characteristics and responsibilities that cannot be forfeited. Since he had created Roger Skunk after himself and his mommy after his own mother, he wanted Joe to understand the importance of yielding to parents. Jack also wanted to establish father's commanding authority in the family. He had a chauvinist mindset, which makes it difficult for him to accept his wife's independent behavior and make the relationship a loving one. Even though we do understand that it is parents' role to help the child come to terms with his or her personality and preserve the child's individuality. Also, given their age and experience, parents are the right mentors to discern what is right for the child. Yet, the clash portrayed between the parental authority and the child's desire in the story makes the reader consider both the perspectives with regard to the fact that both are equally valid points of view, which also highlights the complex nature of human relationship, especially those within a family. We also come across Jack as a wonderful storyteller who inserts autobiographical elements, remembering certain humiliations of his own childhood. He acted as a wizard by scrunching his face and winding his eyes in order to make the narration more realistic. He even tapped on the windowsill to further engross Joe into the story. The nested narrative, that is, a story within a story structure, fulfills multiple functions. Roger Skunk's story functions as a moral lesson for the listeners of the story and Joe to learn the importance of accepting one's flaws as they are. The story of Jack narrating Roger Skunk's story functions as a lesson for us, the readers, and makes us think about the difference in perspective between an adult and a child. With this, we come to the end of the story. Hope you were able to comprehend it. Thank you.